Hello and welcome to another episode of the Anime Lounge podcast. I'm your host Lance, here with my other host Matt. In every episode, we like to share what we're drinking, and today I will be drinking some Green River Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey and chasing that back with a Wisconsin's New Glarus Spotted Cow. How about you, Matt? What are you drinking?
I will be drinking more of my specific barrel of Journeyman's Distillery Featherbone Bourbon whiskey. Delicious. I am very excited about it, so I'm just continuing to drink it. And then, of course, I've got Spotted Cow, because how can I not?
Right.
For our second of two Halloween specials, we are going to be covering Corpse Princess. The difference in this episode is because there's so many episodes, we are not going to have a one-shot synopsis, but instead we're just going to kind of remind everybody of mini synopsises through this entire season / our conversation. And unfortunately for anybody that's interested in a manga mentions, it's not going to happen today because there's just too many chapters for me to read in a very short period of time. So we're like, well, let's go with something a little bit longer. And so we decided to go with Corpse Princess, which I'm going to apologize because this was my choice.
No, that's totally fine.
I had never seen it. Had you ever seen it? Like, were you interested in watching this beforehand?
Oh, I didn't even know this show existed prior to you suggesting this. Yeah, for everyone, this was a 2008 anime, so it's pretty old. So it's been in the ether for quite a while, and we're trying to find Halloween-themed shows for this, and this looked like it could have fallen under that category.
It had all the makings of a good Halloween series, and it was none of those things.
Yeah, not really. I mean, a couple monsters here and there, but that's about as far as you can go.
Yeah. But we do have a Lance's Lessons for this episode, so you want to hit us up with that?
Today's Lance's Lessons is going to be the title name itself, the Japanese word Shikebane Hime. And that's a direct translation from what we were just saying. It literally means Corpse Princess. So nice and easy, just because today's episode is just going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Sometimes it's nice to be like, is that actually what it means? So yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah, because I know we get some long ones and they're like, and it's this one word. You're like, that can't translate to that one word. No.
Yeah, right. Sometimes I get too crazy. All right. So yeah, like Matt was saying, for this episode, I think it might just be a little bit easier to kind of go almost episode by episode. There's 26 episodes, but we'll fly through a couple of them. But really, this is just a reminder for everyone who's already experienced this anime to get a refresher on what the show was about.
Yeah, let's kind of just start off from the beginning. So let's talk about, like, what was your first impression of this series?
First impression right off the bat, we have in episode 1, we got introduced to this vampire guy who is killing all these women, and it looked like he was some kind of serial killer who was just kind of being some weird pervert thing, just trying to have sex and kill everybody.
Yep.
And then in the end, we ended up having this really interesting, really manga-esque looking transformation that he had.
Yep.
Because he's just this creepy, skinny guy, and then he transforms into this really big vampire bat kind of thing. So he was kind of cool. And then this is where we get introduced into the Shikebane Himes, more specifically our main character, Makina. She's the one that's going to be doing all the damage. For everyone to remember, Makina, she's this old school looking anime character. She's got a schoolgirl uniform on for whatever reason. This is one question I wanted to pose.
Okay.
We don't see her in school at all.
Nope.
At any point, even though she's come back from the dead. She could easily live a normal life. But here we are just having her in a schoolgirl uniform, running around shooting things.
Well, this is very 80s, sorry, not 80s, but very early 2000s. Honestly, you could probably say 80s to early 2000s type attire for
100%.
Your main character, female character.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of popular ones, especially if they went to school at some point. They had to be in a schoolgirl outfit, and I'm just like, It was kind of funny because the show was, I want to say it was rated. Oh, it was rated 16 plus. So you're like, okay, so this is going to be kind of, there was nothing about this show that made me think it was like 16 plus, except for a little bit of blood.
A little bit of blood. As far as ecchi goes, it was very, very mild in the beginning. It started to increase itself as the show progressed.
Well, let's be honest. It was the one Shikabane that was like the American one. That was the
one with the bow in her hair?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. She got totally sexualized on the second half of the series.
Other than that, like there were some risque clothing, but other than that, nothing too crazy. And some weird camera angles. But
yeah. But back to Makina, when her first introduction, I immediately thought of Kagome from Inuyasha. Just the way she's got like the long skinny legs, the skirt with the schoolgirl uniform.
Yep.
And kind of a little bit of the animation style. It just made me feel like it was Inuyasha.
I can see that, yeah. And it was, I'll be honest, this show started off very intriguing. The first episode was really good. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Then you get into the second episode where the brother gets introduced, and you're just like, okay, what's going on at this point?
Right. And the brother, for everybody, what was Keisei? Keisei was introduced in episode 1, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was introduced in episode 1, but you see him carrying Makina, and you're just like, oh, okay, that's interesting. What's going on here? And then after that, you finally get introduced to the brother and like starting to understand what's going on in a sense.
Right. And as far as brothers go, for everyone to remember, our main character is a boy. His name is Ori. He's this spiky-haired orphan kid that was brought back when he was at like the age of 3. And he's kind of just going through life, and we get flashbacks of him being a little bit younger, seeing his quote-unquote brother, which is really just more... He's technically like the father figure who took him in, but he acts like a big brother.
Yep.
And he's running this orphanage with another woman. And the trick is that Kisei, the brother, is actually a priest of sorts. And he's the one that's contracted with Makina. And they go around and kill other Shikibane, which are basically just the demons of this show.
Yep.
And I guess another thing to make everyone remember is we had this premise very early in at least the first half of the series, that if a Shikibane Hime, and the difference between a Shikibane and a Shikibane Hime is that the Himes are the resurrected, more humanoid ones, the ones that have a real conscience and have contracts with the priests.
And have to be women.
And they have to be women of a certain age, which I'm glad they explained later on.
Yes.
Like they just gave some random ass throw out there like, yeah, they have to be women and they have to be of a certain age, because that was one question that I was definitely going to bring up if it wasn't for the first half.
Yeah, that's a fair question. Definitely.
Yeah, but they explained it nonetheless, so it's whatever. But yeah, so the point was, if these Himes could kill 108 other Shikibane, they can go to heaven.
Yep. What'd you think of that premise?
I thought that was a decent idea.
Okay, yeah.
The 108 threw me off. Like,
why
that's such a weird random number. I don't know. I didn't look into it if there was any significance to 108, whether that means anything in Japan or something. But yeah, I thought that was just a strange number. Maybe a solid 100, or it's at least rounded to 100 or 125 or 150.
110. Nope, 108.
Yeah. Actually, now I feel like I need to look that up.
Yeah, so while you're looking it up, we can just kind of keep going through this. I'll be completely honest, the first half of this series was terrible.
Yeah, they started out like Monster of the Week, which did feel very 1990s, early 2000s kind of story. Absolutely.
You get introduced to the villain, who is, of course, he's going to be a traitor monk, which is Akasha, which you keep finding out, he killed his Shikabane Hime. He's such a terrible person. He kind of just seems like the woe is me kind of character. The brother, Kisei, I enjoyed him as a character, especially as like the older brother figure, because he kept trying to give Ori like the risque figures, the like nudie magazines.
Yeah. At my first blush, I was like, oh my God, we're going to be dealing with some weird, really pushing this pervert kind of thing going. But you saw how responsible he was outside of that. And then he kind of just kept the joke going. So it was kind of, I did grow to, I don't want to say appreciate, but I accept him, I guess. Yeah,
he was just trying to be like that older brother that was like, I know you're kind of embarrassed, but I know you like this stuff, so here you go.
Yeah, and all the little comments about like leaving lotion in the box and leaving him alone with all the figures and all the posters and stuff like that. I thought that was, it did grow to be a little funnier and funnier every time it came up.
Yeah, so I enjoyed Kisei. I was really confused for a while, because I was like, well, is he supposed to be the main character? Like, is he going to turn out to be the main character? And then, of course, he dies, on episode
12 or 13, like at the end of Core 1, essentially.
Yeah, I think it was on episode 12 is where he dies.
Oh, it's in my notes, too.
Which we find out about these 7-star... The 7-star, I think is what the group is called, which are just... Guys. Which are the true bad guys, and they're just a bunch of shikabane that follow their nature. I thought that was a weird concept.
Yeah, it was interesting enough. I like that the 7 stars had a twist to them that wasn't because they died. It was because of who they were to their core.
Yep.
And it definitely added some depth to all of them.
Yes.
But at the same time, you can throw some regret. We also have to remind everybody that everybody who becomes a shikabane is so because they died with regrets, such intense regrets, that they have to come back to life essentially as ghosts or ghouls, and then they act on those regrets. Whether it's, like, for example, there's one guy that died in a car accident because some younger guys were driving recklessly and drove them off a cliff and killed them. So his regret was dying too early by the hands of young kids. So he, in return, comes back to life and kills young reckless drivers.
Yep. So I thought that was pretty interesting of a concept, but again, it was just kind of ghoul of the week flavor, and it became very repetitive.
Yeah, I'm glad they switched it up between first core and second core.
Yeah.
The first half of the first core was monster of the week.
Yep.
Which was okay. But then we actually got a real goal, and that's to stop the big baddie, the 7 stars.
Yep.
Real quick, I did Google why 108 kills is necessary.
Okay.
This one says the Buddhist rosary has 108 beads.
Okay.
So I know they've made multiple comments about Buddhist stuff in the show. So It makes sense that that's where the 108 comes from.
Yeah, that makes complete sense, actually. And as far as the first core, it was definitely almost nothing memorable within that first core. The first 12 episodes, minus the last one, were just very boring. We could put it that way.
Right. To give a quick rundown on a couple of the monsters of the week, episode 2 had a child friend from the orphanage who died, and they turned into... Actually, it was a couple children.
It was 3, yep.
It was 3, and then they were playing in a park, and there were these ghoulish little things, and they combined together into one giant monster. And then our main character, Ori, didn't want them to die, like, right up front, because he's new to all this stuff, so he still wanted to protect them.
Yep.
And he did something strange, and he showed a picture and got to their emotions, and then that's what let their guard down. Now, this concept of emotionally connecting with the Shikabane really did help a lot when things got rough.
Yeah.
And that one's going to be more specific a couple episodes later, when one of Ori's friends at school, who has another friend who has this blog about poetically killing people and stuff. It was mainly he was killing bullies.
Yes. And that was episode 7.
Yep. Right here. And this guy who was murdering all the bullies, he transformed into this really strong kind of suit, and he was really wrecking everybody. And he was starting to be pretty OP. And then when all hope starts to get lost, another thing why he was OP was every time he took damage at a certain part of his body, the person who gave that damage also received that damage at that same part of the body. So, like, if he got stabbed in his right arm, you'd also feel that pain in your right arm.
This is also where we get introduced to more Shikabane Hime.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that was kind of interesting. We're like, oh, okay, so it's not going to just be our main character, Makina.
Mm-hmm.
Not just going to be our main character, Makina. There's going to be more than just this one individual one. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But of course, they put another plot twist in that and make her contracted monk get killed.
Yeah. Back to the OP guy.
Yep.
The way he got destroyed, without minor details about how he was able to take damage by Makina, or he ended up calling one of the school friend, and then had him on like
speakerphone.
Thank you. That's what it's called. And he was able to talk to the Shikabane, and then his emotions came out. He let his guard down, and his outer shell broke, and they were able to defeat him that way.
Yeah. What did you think of that?
I accepted it.
Okay.
Because things were looking very strong or very hard, and damn, I didn't know how they were going to outpower this thing, especially if, like I was saying earlier, the ability to repel or reflect, that's a better word, reflect all that damage and stuff.
Yeah.
It just didn't make any sense, because, like, if you choked him out, if you cut his head off, what would happen then? So this was very acceptable. Let his guard come down and then take him out that way. What do you think?
I accepted it. Anime logic. It had to happen some way. If we're going to play in a series in which your emotions are the reason why you come back to life, I can accept the fact that that's also how you can die, in a sense.
Yeah.
Also, we should probably remind people that the only way for these Shikabane to die is to either get obliterated in a manner in which they can't regenerate, or to get their head blown off, or their brain blown up.
Yeah. So kind of like a zombie.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I kind of thought this was going to be a great Halloween episode. And just kidding on me.
Yeah.
But
no, it's totally acceptable. It's got monsters. It's acceptable.
Yeah.
But going back to some characters that you were talking about, getting introduced into more Shikibane Himes.
Yes.
In this area of the core, we got introduced to Minai. Minai was this beautiful young woman. She was really dressed as like this street biker girl. She was super nice, and she was really bad at using weapons. But what we find out in the final episode is she just so happens to be really good at fighting, which is why we see her earlier in the series. She has some spiked gloves. She looks like Knuckles. She's using like Knuckles from Sonic.
Yep.
She's got those spiked gloves on, and she's just fucking wailing on all the Shikibane.
Which I did find it was funny. Like, all right, so what are you good at? Well, I take a boxing fitness class. It's like,
yep.
Really? That's what your power is? That's what your skill is?
That's her skill, and then it just so happens to be fucking deadly. But that was very interesting. I like that. She was a little bit of a twist because we got Machina with her guns. We did get introduced into the other girl with the bow tie in her hair. Her name was
Itsuki, yeah,
there it is. She was also a gun user. So it was nice to see that we didn't like strictly see the Shikibane Himes with just guns.
Yeah, absolutely.
To stay with Minai.
Yes.
I liked her little character story here, especially after episode 26 and getting revisited on her and stuff.
Yes.
So she had a very shitty contracted monk who was essentially just using her. And then we see that like he stole a kiss from her, and like he was being like super abusive in all manners of respect.
Yes.
And when the contracted monk finally got what was coming to him, he's an asshole. He ended up dying by this gang that he messed with like a day prior. So he got stabbed to death in an alley. And then because the contracted monk died, the Shikibane Hime's bond gets severed. She will slowly start to revert back into just a regular Shikibane, which I thought was a very interesting concept. And I'm glad they went that route. But when this all was happening, Ori brought her to his place of work, which just so happened to be another contracted monk and another Shikibane Hime, secretly to him.
Yes.
But he brought her over there, and then she was about to die. And then the guy made a comment that he can save her life if he transfers the contract over to Ori.
Yes.
Now, when this happened, did you straight up assume that Ori was going to take this on, or did you think that Machina was too much of a main focal point?
I had a feeling that something was going to happen where they were going to get contracted, but then she was going to die, and that was going to allow for Machina to get contracted to him. I was not necessarily expecting him to just leave and then her disappear.
Right.
Disappear in quotes. She got killed, but
right. Which could spark another question. In case anybody forgot, this is a 2008 anime. I think it aired until 2014. And we've had nothing since. And the episode 26 was a huge cliffhanger.
Yes.
We never got a conclusion to this. Sources say finish the manga, obviously. So I don't think we're going to get any more anime. But for all the anime viewers out there who have seen this, do you think Minai, the biker-looking girl, is officially dead? Or do you think because episode 26 brought focus back into her that she might make an appearance later?
No, she's 100% dead. She real dead.
You think she's dead? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's my first impression, which is why I disliked episode 26 so much. Is it was very nice to get that backstory on her, but she was irrelevant essentially to the release date by almost 6 years as anime viewers. So it's really weird to just bring her back out of the blue, especially since episode 25, when we go back to the main storyline, left off at such a cliffhanger. And we can get there in a little bit. But yeah, just concluding on Minai, it would have been very interesting to see her be contracted under Ori, and then have essentially Minai being the stepping stone into Machina. I think that would have been a nice little branch story that could have, been something very interesting. It would have made the Machina and Ori bond a little bit more not understandable, but a little bit more familiar and easier to handle in a way.
Yeah, it would have helped him understand what the whole process is about.
Right.
But alas, no, that's not how it happens. Unfortunately, what does happen is that his brother has to die instead, and he pretty much just like, well, I can't have you die too, so I guess we're gonna be contracted together.
Right.
What did you think of that?
I accepted it. Like, I kind of saw it coming. If he was gonna die, couldn't have our secondary main character Machina die as well. She's too important.
Yes.
So seeing the transfer of the contract was 100% understandable. I'm glad they went through a semi-difficult process to have Ori start learning the ways of becoming the priest or the monk and just start learning stuff. So that was understandable too, which was cool.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It would have been really weird if just instantaneously he was good at it.
Oh, yeah. I would have been very annoyed if that was the case, because he comes from, it's understandable at the end when we get the world-shattering information that he is the child of Ishigibane himself. Well, I don't remember where I was going with that, but it really doesn't matter. The point was that it could have been much dumber anime logic.
Yeah. So I was very curious because we were kind of talking about the bullshit of the last episode, and I looked up like some of the ending of. I just grabbed a random chapter of the manga. I was like, okay, let's kind of go towards the end of it. Let's see what's going on. And I pull up like chapter 110, and it's literally Machina with Ori and the bad girl that's considered death. Give me 1 second. Her name is Hokuto. Yes. They're training together. And you want to talk about over-sexualized. She's got like triple F's going on and has some like coral going around her boobs and her vagina, and that's it. And I'm just like, okay then.
So
and
just enough
literally
clothing to block the goodies.
Literally just covering.
That's funny.
And I'm just like, okay. And the three of them are, Machina and Hokuto are training, fighting. I'm not 100% sure because I just kind of randomly stumbled into the chapters, so I have no idea what's actually going on. But what the fuck? It is nothing like the last episode.
All right, so to bring everyone into view, Hokuto is the blonde-haired woman whose boobs got bigger and bigger with every single episode that went by.
Yes, they
but
did.
She is the shining star of the 7 stars, the whole reason that the bad team is a thing to begin with. And she was the one who was born specifically to be a sacrifice. And because of her nature, she was able to die, come back to life, and then her nature is just to kill. And episode 25 ends with Machina punching the shit out of her, and then that's all we're left with as anime viewers. But Matt jumps ahead to the manga just to let everyone know, but it might appear that Ori takes on a second Shikibane under himself, which, he doesn't have the rune capacity to even handle Machina, so I wonder how he's able to play nicely with Hokuto.
Or they were fighting, and again, not 100% sure. It's just a random stab at a chapter, so it could be a lot of things.
Could be. But now that I think about it also, to remind everybody what happens in the end of the anime, the original Shikibane gets uncovered, like her grave gets uncovered, and all of the natural bonds between the contracted monks and all the Shikibane Himes get broken. Now what that is supposed to originally mean is that all those Himes should revert back into regular Shikibane and wreak havoc.
Yeah.
But because their natural bonds are so strong with them, nothing changes anyway. So this is making me wonder that there's no such thing as a bond anymore. And as long as the bond itself is true to begin with, everything is just so hunky-dory and, anime logic this and anime logic that. And we can get to the final...
Through the power of friendship.
Yeah, essentially. So I guess I can see where Rune, and for a reminder, Rune is the contracted monk's aura, his spiritual energy, his life force being given to the Himes in order to have a power output kind of deal. So this might not be a concept anymore of Rune. So maybe that's why this is all going to work out.
Yeah, I don't know. That could have just never happened either, because I don't know. We have no idea. Like that last handful of episodes just might not have been canon to the manga.
Oh, that's very true as well. Because as one thing we've kind of realized is that really old anime takes some liberties on themselves and does things that's not canon to the manga all the time.
Yep.
So they very well could have gone their own direction with some things.
Yeah, they were probably like, oh, let's try to find a way out of this. And then we went to that and they're like, oh, crap, I don't like this. All right, let's give you a recap episode at the end.
Yeah.
Or not a recap episode, but a backstory episode to make everybody forget about what just happened previously.
And it very well could have been that too. But they really just dug themselves into a deeper grave, because now you just covered up episode 25 with a Band-Aid, and now you got to put a bigger wound with episode 26 that doesn't make any sense to the storyline. I mean, post-storyline, but like current storyline has nothing to do with what's current.
Yep. It's still not as bad as Twin Stars.
Yeah. You explain it.
For anybody who hasn't watched our episode, highly suggest you listening to it, because there is a lot. I'm pretty sure I lose my voice about halfway through. I almost think I talked for an hour. It was a lot.
And just manga differences.
Yeah. Not just I like to hear myself talk. There was so many differences, and the manga is still ongoing, and the series was concluded. So, or at least the anime series was concluded, and the manga is still going. So
that's crazy.
That was so much. You want to talk? The only reason why Promised Neverland got a bunch of hate is because that season 1 was just fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And then they're like, hey, let's cram 120 chapters in 12 episodes, skip almost all of the important parts, let's change some other important parts, and here's your season. And you're like...
And then just conclude everything.
Yeah, conclude everything in a manner in which that doesn't reflect what actually happened in the manga. And you're like, but you did so good. Like, it was so promising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one of those typical... memes where you see that perfect drawing of a horse where like the back half is so perfectly drawn and shaded, and then the front half is just some derpy stupid horse, like stick figure.
Looks like a 6-year-old that's never seen a horse through it.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. So that's how Promised Neverland worked out.
Yes.
At least in comparison with its source material.
Absolutely.
If you were strictly just an anime viewer, I thought season 2 was okay.
Yeah, it was okay. It was weird, but it was okay.
Yeah, it was watchable. But knowing what it could have been, so upsetting.
Absolutely. And I feel like the source or the concept itself wasn't as good as Promised Neverland, so I can't say it's like the same thing that happened here. It's probably a similar concept as like Twin Stars, where the concept's fine. It was probably a better... If it would have just stuck to the manga, it probably would have made more sense and been a better overall concept. I'm going to guess that's what happened. Fortunately, we'll never know, because I'm definitely not going to read it now.
Yeah, at this point, it's not worth it. And plus, it's so old. It's going to be whatever at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess if any of our listeners want to leave a nice comment to explain a couple things, please, we would love to read your comment.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess since we are off on tangents, I do want to ask you, did you have a favorite Shikabane Hime?
My first one was going to be Minai, the one we got introduced to in the episode like 6 or 7, the biker girl.
Okay.
She was really nice. She was different because she was combative in terms of like punching and kicking as her method of killing stuff.
Okay.
And it was just an unfortunate way to end her because she could have had so much more to offer.
That's fair. I'm a little surprised you didn't pick the most powerful one, which is Kamika. She's the one with the dual swords. Oh,
that's right. Well, we got introduced to her in a very weird manner. Like, she was, for anybody that needs any kind of reminder, she's this blonde-haired tall girl. She's basically this bodyguard to, I don't even remember who her contract is.
Her contracted monk is Takamine.
Is he someone important?
Yes, he was one of the Sojo, so he was like one of the strongest ones.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
he was one of the top guys.
She definitely had a lot of pull because she was very confident in herself and she had a lot of, I don't know, just going back to the word pull.
Yeah.
And she was very powerful at the end of the series. We saw her only a couple times, really.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to see her with swords. Yeah, I totally forgot about her. She was always carrying around 2 swords, like traditional samurai style, and that was cool too.
Yeah, she was considered the sword princess.
Mm-hmm. What about you? Did you have a favorite Hime?
For anybody that's interested, the big boob blonde one, her name is Flesh Backbone, by the way. So obviously not a regular character, but I am probably going to go with I would say probably my favorite is Akira. She's the sniper one.
Oh, the sniper that worked with Ori and the manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty badass.
Yeah, I really like that. I thought she was probably the most well-rounded of the Shikabane Hime.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked her. I also liked the sniper aspect of it.
Yeah.
So.
Just to continue your like for her, like she was this sassy girl with comebacks, no shits given. She also had a different job than the rest of the Himes did. Like her and her contracted monk had the ability to kill humans as well as Shikibane, which I thought was very interesting.
Like they knew all of the backstory of the Shikabane and the Kogan sect, and they were basically the assassins of the group where they're like, well, yeah, we know everything. We just kind of do what they can't do kind of thing. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, just kind of be in the shadows.
Yep.
But yeah, back to her weapon of choice, which was the sniper.
Yep.
And then having her contracted monk giving, well, there was a, I don't remember what it was called, but there was a special power Zidane technique, which was, I don't know what his specific one was, but it gave intense firepower to her sniper shot.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of definition to that other than he just gave her a huge power boost?
I would assume it was like a range boost where she could shoot from like a greater distance than a normal sniper.
More accuracy.
Yeah, that's kind of what I took it as. It's basically like a sniper from Yu Yu Hakusho, where it's basically like I can shoot you from super far away and still hit you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing where it's like as long as I kind of aim at you, I'm gonna hit you kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I took of his / their Zidane technique.
Yeah, and for everybody to remember what a Zidane technique, in episode 19 they explain what it was. And my notes say that it was powers from above that protect the user.
Yep.
So in Ori's case that we see is we assume that after Kisei dies, he's probably looking down on him and giving him his power or his Zidane techniques because Ori just so happens to be able to use them kind of readily.
Yeah.
At the end of the second core.
I mean, I feel like all the stronger contracted monks can use it when needed.
Except Kisei. Kisei didn't have a Zidane technique. I mean, I feel like they talked about how he could, but unless his Zidane technique was like absorbing shit, because there was an episode where at the end of his staff, he absorbed some stuff, much like, what was it, Muroko from Inuyasha? Morocco, there it is.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would think is that he can just absorb things. I am not 100% sure.
Yeah, but the point was the Zidane technique is supposed to be hard to obtain to begin with and hard to even use unless you're very well trained. And
unless you're Ori.
You got very good luck.
Yes. Yeah, I'll take that as he was just looked down on by Kisei.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
After that explanation that episode 19 gave.
Yeah.
That's the best you can really give it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, that's probably my favorite Shikabane Hime. And so one thing, don't quote me exactly, but I'm almost 100% positive. Do you want to guess how many times you saw Machina reload?
I did think this multiple times. I did think that there was the traditional unlimited ammo cheat code entered into. Mm-hmm. Do you have the number?
I'm almost positive I know.
I can remember one time only.
Yeah, exactly.
It was one time?
Yeah, that's all I could think of.
I was going to say, there was one time near the end when she was jumping up on some like wormy monster.
Yeah, the centipede guy. Yep.
The clips fell out and she reloaded. You didn't even see her actually reload. You just see the clips fall out.
And then she was shooting again later.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. That's the only time you saw magazines fall out of her.
Yep. Okay, that's super funny. Glad you brought this back up. I totally forgot to make this even a topic.
Yeah.
For a reminder for everybody, Makina, the main Shikibane Hime, her weapon of choice is basically 2 Uzis.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that's exactly what they are.
Where we have the other popular Shikibane Hime, Itsuki, who runs around with 2 handguns.
Yep.
More or less. Itsuki's the one who gets sexualized insanely in the second half. She's basically naked the entire time. Like, half her boobs are hanging out the entire time. Her skirt's all ripped up multiple times. What was kind of funny was they showed like a past episode of her and her clothes being all ripped up.
Yep.
And then they showed like a present day part of the episode, and it was copy paste. So it was really funny at that point. Like,
we got some lazy edit or animation going on.
Yeah, but it's all for the perverts. Half her boobs hanging out. And for as far as ecchi pervert stuff kind of goes, as much skin as they've shown, and you see a little bit of like butt crevice going on, you see half a boob with no nipple. You never got to see upskirt. You never got to see any underwear, which I thought was very interesting because
they definitely tried
so many times where they showed it but they didn't show it. Every time that they did show it, it was shadowed out.
Yep.
Which makes me wonder if that's like an edited version for like Crunchyroll.
Maybe.
And then you can buy the DVD version and then you can just see everything.
Maybe. Yeah, there may be an unedited version somewhere and we just got the edited version. I can see that. Uh-huh. I would assume there is probably no nipples throughout this entire series, even in the manga. I'd guess that there's probably not. It's probably all just either not there or shadowed out somehow.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially this early. When we were younger, 2000s and earlier, to see a boob was...
Oh, they were definitely there in mangas.
They were there, but I would like to assume that they were a little bit more rare.
I would probably argue the opposite.
Interesting. Okay.
I would probably argue the opposite. It was the other way around. Now there's just such mass quantity that it seems more prevalent.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. So, I'm just thinking manga to me was Dragon Ball Z in the library. Yu Yu Hakusho that a friend or two had.
Yeah, neither.
It was very rare to come across a manga back when we were children.
Neither of those had any sort of...
Yeah, that was like typical shonen where it was just fighting. Why would there be nudity?
Yeah, exactly.
Should talk about 7 stars.
Yeah, let's talk about the 7 stars. Did you have a favorite 7 star? Maybe of them, which was your favorite, like, ability, which nature, as they call it? Any of them your favorite?
Just to slightly start to go through some stuff. The first one I'm seeing right now is Toya. Toya was the child.
The balloons.
With the balloons. The character design was basically somebody in a hooded long coat, and the head was made out of like 4 different balloons. And the purpose of Toya was she just wanted to give everybody complete happiness, and happiness equaled death. So when someone dies, they're truly happy. And we got a nice little backstory on the breast goddess, who was just a side character who was crazy.
Yep.
Nothing of real importance. If you're just watching the show, she's interesting enough, but not important. But Toya, her backstory was really sad.
Yeah, that was super fucked. I was like, what the fuck?
Her family was just like super ass poor, and the one day they go and spoil the child. They bring him to like a carnival, and the family poisons themselves so that everybody dies. And the nature of this child, because it's not a typical Shikibane, the nature was it just wants to give happiness or share happiness or anything around that.
Yep.
I'm not going to say that she's my favorite, but this is, like I said, this is the first one that I'm coming across as one of them.
Okay. Yeah.
Any more thoughts on this one for you?
Yeah, that backstory was super fucked. I was like, God damn.
I thought this was the craziest of the backstories. I mean, we only got like half of them for the anime, but that one was pretty good. Yeah,
the other real backstory we got besides Hokuto was Izuchi, which was the guy with like almost the braid looking thing that fought Ori at the end.
The fake brother?
Yep, the fake one.
Izuchi?
Yes. That one, basically, we got his backstory, which was he starved to death because of Ori's mom.
Yeah, that was very interesting. So to paint the picture for everybody, Hizuchi was the spiky-haired, white-haired guy at the end of the anime. Kind of came out of nowhere. And he died because after Ori was born, and just remember, Ori was born to a Shikibane, that dead mother was gathering other babies in order to...
Because she died with the regret of not being able to feed her baby. In this case, it was Ori. So instead, she was like pulling in these babies and essentially feeding off of them. Right. Or just grabbing these babies, and then they would starve to death, and then she would eat them.
Yeah, so she was just gathering them up. And then Hizuchi, which was one of these victims, ended up dying. And then his regret, but it can't be a regret because he's one of the 7 stars. So one of his natures was just to eat. Yes. So as soon as he died of starvation and came back as his fake Shikibane, he just started eating all these dead bodies. And it was very interesting. It was very visually interesting.
Yeah, it was something. We can say it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was I think the only other backstory we really got.
Yeah, because the next big one to make an appearance was Hazama, and he was kind of the ringleader. Like Hokuto, the white-haired chick that was born to be a sacrifice, she was labeled as the shining star of the 7 stars. But Hazama, he was this insect guy. And he was the one really calling all the shots. He was leading everybody. I don't know about you, but he gave me hardcore vibes of...
You're not talking about Gato, are you? No, you're talking about the guy that took over for Gato.
Yeah, he's giving me Gato vibes.
Okay.
The guy essentially post-Gato. He's giving me those kind of vibes.
Okay. No, I'm definitely not thinking of that one, but sure, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, he just reminded me of him for... whatever reason. I guess the insects. He summoned all these insects, much like Gato can summon all these random ass spirits.
That's about as far as it goes. But yeah.
I don't know. He has this.
You just got jujutsu on your brain. That's okay.
That's where it comes down to.
Another one that we really saw was Isaka, which was like the old guy, the one that put the barriers up. We never got his backstory.
Oh, yeah. I'm not remembering him much at all.
He's just the really old one. The one that was like, I can't die because he can like go into other bodies or whatever it was.
Oh, that's who that one was?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Actually,
sorry. He's the one that can open portals and create barriers.
There you go.
So the one that can go into other bodies is Kawaku. He's the one that can go into other bodies.
What's the other name? Oh, I just remembered.
Like, are there any other left? Ina?
Ina is the one who can transfer bodies.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Switch from one corpse to another. Okay. Yeah.
There's that gas guy, the first one to die.
That's Kawaku. That's Kawaku.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even write down his name. I just called him Gas Guy.
Yes.
Yeah, Ina was also very interesting. Ina was the one we got a backstory of how he never felt like he was beautiful enough, and he was the one sculpting all of these
naked bodies
and these sculptures, and none of them were good enough for him, and he just committed suicide. And then he comes back, and now he's able to not only
body swap,
but like make multiple copies of himself too, which was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So he sounds very well. I'm gonna say he sounds very OP, but if he can, transferring from body to body is powerful enough as it is, but if he were to take someone's body per se, will he also be able to copy their abilities? Like if he were to take another Higibane or Shikibane, that's the word, do you think he'd be able to copy?
I think to an extent.
Maybe.
Speaking of, did you count how many of his brother that he made?
Oh, I did not.
He made 7.
It was 7?
Yeah, which, again, more Yu Yu Hakusho references. I just thought of, just reminded me of Suzaku, just because I just thought of the, when he transforms into 7. Yeah. I was like, oh, look, it's 7 of the same person. Yes.
Yeah, that might be a Japanese kind of lore thing.
I guarantee you it is, but in this case, yeah, he made 7 of himself, of his brother, which I can say his brother's name again, which was Kisei. He made 7 Kiseis.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing behind it. That was just an observation.
Yeah, that's whatever. But to go back into that story, in order to take care of that situation where he brought up 7 Kiseis, Or he had the obvious idea of, well, if he's just going to transfer from body to body, then let's just kill all the bodies. Like, that's obviously
what a hard concept.
That's obviously how it's going to work. It's either you kill the main guy or you just kill all the backups. In the end, the result's still going to be the same.
Yep. Which in this case, because there is no main body, you just have to kill them all.
Yeah. Interesting enough. Whatever. It was a throwaway.
Yeah, absolutely. That they as themselves were interesting villains because they're like, well, I hate all of them, so let's just make a bunch of Shikabane and basically kill the Kogan sect.
Right. So in the end, what I think is really going to come down to is the insect guy, Hazama. I think he's going to become the final boss because what we learn in the very end with the trader monk, he's the one that found out the truth of everything very early on. So he's got a bad title to him for the wrong reasons. Oh,
no, he definitely has it for the right reasons, but he did betray everybody.
Like he was given a bad title for the wrong reason, but he's in the right for, I want to say he's in the right for the way he feels. No, wait, because
he feels betrayed, which is that is perfectly acceptable. It was just the process in which he went about, which was the fucked up thing.
Yeah, because what happened was his Hime got the 108 kills.
Yep.
And then, I suppose we could have said this much earlier in this episode. The whole getting 108 kills in order for the Hime to go to heaven was a complete lie.
Yes.
After you get that 108th kill, you basically go berserk. You're no longer you're just this crazy Shikibane at this point.
Yep.
And you can no longer be controlled unless you're tied down with all these sacred shit.
Yep.
And what happened was his Hime got that 108th kill, and he witnessed it go crazy. And then he had to kill her himself. I don't remember exactly.
No, so she doesn't die because remember she's in one of the mummified coffins. Yeah. And so he essentially goes against the Kogan sect because he felt betrayed because his Hime was his girlfriend thing. And so she wanted to be a Shikabane Hime because essentially he was a monk and she was feeling regret for not being able to spend more time with him. So he agreed to it because if he would have known the truth, which was, you actually you're going to be able to live forever, but we're not going to be able to be together. So you need to basically rest in peace, and then after I die we can spend eternity together. But instead he was tricked into turning her into a Hime. So that's why he was all pissed off.
Right. Yeah, so this whole concept of the Hime is just crazy because it's all based on a lie.
Yep.
It's all just to
be able to fight to
use their power. Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to say a more menacing kind of a phrase, but just take control of the opportunity to use their power for their own purposes.
Yeah, exactly. And while it's fucked up, the problem is that the monks, while they can kill Shikabane, it's very ineffective. So the most effective it's that whole concept of, do you do a fucked up thing because it's effective, or do you become less effective, potentially risk the lives of everybody else?
Yeah, you use evil to fight evil.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's an interesting concept. And so you get it. Unfortunately for our trader monk, he could have just kind of disappeared and done nothing, but instead he wanted to get back on the Kogan sect.
Yeah. So he seeked revenge, teamed up with the 7 stars, and here we are. I know we didn't see any kind of conclusion with the anime.
Yes.
I don't foresee Trader Monk surviving in the end. What about you?
No, he got obliterated, remember?
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, he got obliterated by Hokuto. Yeah. When
oh my god, so much was happening in the end.
So
we had some really good action at the end of the series, at the end of the actual true core.
Yeah. So remember, basically, he makes Hokuto his Hime, which then my favorite character ends up shooting the casket of our trader's original Hime. She starts to become kind of self-aware of what's going on. The trader starts having some regret and was like, basically he's like, yeah, sorry, I can't do this, my bad.
Yep.
And she becomes in a rage, basically obliterates him and his original Hime and goes on a rampage.
Okay, yep, that's right.
She does like this wind like slash thing.
Yep.
So yeah, he real dead. He
Okay.
in pieces.
All right, I'm glad you reminded me of that because our viewers might have needed a reminder too.
Yes, for anybody that's made it this far, I apologize for if you choose to watch the Corpse Princess. It's on you at this point because this is going to be one of those like those movies that are terrible but people love them. That's what this show is.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's going to be a sector of people that love this. Which if you go on to Crunchyroll, it has 1,200 reviews and a 4.3. So the people that like this show really like this show. I don't see how, but the people that like this show really do. Which more power to them. That's fine. They can enjoy what they like.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, did not enjoy this. Like you were saying, that the ending was pretty good, but I had a lot of episodes to get to the
Yeah. The first core was very slow. It was fucking dragging, and that was fine, especially because we have to remember this is early 2000s.
Yep. Still no, I'm not giving them any leeway for that. It was bad, and
it's okay. But yeah, I mean, as far as this show in general goes, we talked about it as much as we really could. This is a 2008 anime. If you haven't watched it, you're not missing out. I mean, it was a fine show.
It wasn't terrible.
I'm glad I watched it just to have it in.
But this was like a
bank.
5.5, maybe 6 kind of show.
Yeah, this was a mid.
Very, very mid, like bottom tier mid.
If this were to be in today's quality of animation, it might be a little bit better.
No.
The guns, I didn't care for the guns.
I thought the guns were kind of cool. But
yeah, you did?
Yeah.
I thought they were just fine. I guess maybe it's because of the unlimited ammo cheat that really turned me off.
They were just reloading off screen. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yes, but I would like a little bit more realistic in that category. But it was a fine show.
Yeah,
I'm glad I watched it to a degree. This wouldn't have been something I'd be like, oh yeah, this is on my watch list.
This was never on my watch list. It was literally like, all right, let's go some horror stuff.
Yep.
Oh, hey, this was like the third option.
Oh yeah,
under horror. So I was like, oh, Corpse Princess. That sounds like a good concept. Let's watch this. No, I'm sorry.
Well, that's good enough. There's definitely worse out there.
Yeah, and we can check off the classic on our bucket list of things that we've covered, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely a classic now.
I think this, besides Yu Yu Hakusho, this is probably the oldest show we've covered.
I think you might be right there.
So,
we're approaching. So this is episode 89. So we've covered quite a few anime, but yeah, I do think this is our oldest anime, yeah.
Yeah, besides Yu Yu Hakusho, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very old.
But that's a top tier classic, so it's okay.
Yeah, that one was definitely worth talking about.
Absolutely. So that's really all I have as far as Corpse Princess is concerned, or if you want to call it Shikabane Hime. That's really all I got. Anything else you want to talk about as far as Shikabane Hime is concerned?
Nah.
Okay.
Now, this is going to be the conclusion to this specific topic. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will share with you guys our Pokemon quiz and some interesting random anime talk.
Okay, I am very excited to see if I can do better than 1 for 3. I have yet to get more than one right answer on this, so that'll be very nice to see. So hopefully, crossing my fingers, I can at least get 2 of the 3 correct answers.
I do think that I might have made this a tad bit easier on you, but I guess we will see.
I'm not getting my hopes up.
All right, question 1. We are going to go back to Gen 1. Everything here is going to be Gen 1 questions.
Okay, it's not going to help, but cool, thanks.
All right, so question 1. How many Pokemon evolve with a Moonstone?
2?
2? Okay, name them.
Clefairy and Jigglypuff.
Okay, final answer?
Yes.
All right. Too bad that's wrong.
Damn.
That was one of the easier questions, Matt.
Damn, I suck.
The answer is 4. You forgot.
4?
Yeah, you forgot about Nidorino and Nidorino.
What?
Yeah, Nidoqueen and Nidoking are Moonstone people.
What?
Yeah.
I don't remember that in the slightest, apparently.
Oh, no. All right, bonus. After these original 4, only 2 more Pokemon in the rest of existence evolved through the Moonstone. And that is Skitty and Munna. So Gen 3 and Gen 4, I believe. So,
yeah, not helpful.
Crazy.
Yeah, no. What was the second one? Munna?
Munna. I'm pretty sure it's like this purple and pink cloud-looking pig Pokemon.
I guess, how do you spell that? M-O...
M-U-N-N-A.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, no. I don't remember that thing in the slide. Like, I know about it on Pokemon Go, but I never played with this thing. It was Gen 5. So Gen that's 5? Why.
Okay, so I was off. But is it essentially a useless Pokemon? It's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yes. From what I know about Pokemon Go, it is completely useless. So, yeah, that's not surprising.
All right, no surprise there. All right, unfortunately, you failed on the first one. Question 2. What level does Meowth evolve at?
Oh, fuck. Let's go with 28.
Oh, you got something right.
Oh, yes.
These Pokemon in Gen 1, they're really kind of, let's just call them stupid. Like, they're useless. Meowth is very stupid. This is either the second or third question I've given you about evolution that a Pokemon evolves at level 28. I would have guessed 25 if you threw that at me. But yeah, 28 seems to be a common enough evolution number for some Pokemon.
Sure. I guess they want to kind of go with the Meowth you see kind of later in the series, as in like you're going through the decks and everything. So I'm wondering if it's because you see it later, it's going to be a little bit stronger. So they want to make you actually put in some effort to evolve it.
Yeah.
Instead of like you catching it and then 2 levels later it evolves.
Yeah. That's a very good point. A little bit of extra trivia that I came across while I was researching some questions to ask you. Pokemon Gen 1 wanted Pikachu and Meowth to be a quote-unquote cat and mouse kind of theme.
I can see that.
So Pikachu is spot number 25 in the Pokedex.
Okay.
And Meowth is completely opposite, spot number 52 in the Pokedex.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that's an interesting thing to just remember out there. All right, question 3. In Pokemon Yellow, can you evolve your starter Pikachu at any point?
No.
Okay.
You absolutely can't.
Just straight up no.
Yep.
I remember being told rumors in the past when I was a child is you can only evolve your Pikachu if it is under level like 15.
I remember trying as a kid periodically throughout and it just like kicking it back, using its tail, just refusing it.
Yeah, straight up refusing at all times.
Yep.
Yeah, the straight up answer is no. I very specifically said your starter Pikachu.
Yes.
Because you can trade a separate Pikachu and then you can evolve that one. So that's how you get Raichu in the Pokedex, unless you trade a Raichu. But if you wanted to make your own, it has to be a whole separate Pikachu.
Yep. I do remember that. Again, from our previous conversations, I was definitely a Pokemon Yellow enthusiast. We'll play it that way. That was the one I played the most. That was definitely the one I finished. And yeah, that was when I got mad that you get a certificate when you collect all 150 Pokemon.
Yeah, that's the sad part about the old games.
Yeah.
Yellow was definitely the most fun because that's how you straight up get all the starters.
Absolutely. And then I do remember the whole purpose of the certificate was because you could connect the Poke printer or whatever it was called.
A Nintendo accessory.
Yeah. And then you could actually print off the certificate. As an adult, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's clever. As a child, I was pissed.
Yeah. It means nothing.
Yep.
Which I wonder how many people actually officially have printed off an official certificate. And the fun thing about me continuing with replaying Pokemon Crystal is that there's another part, I don't remember what the island's called, but wherever the fighting gym is, there's another part where one of the computer characters inside a house says that they'll print off some random ass information about a Pokemon. And it's just, who the hell has this adaption? Like, this was something that no child ever knew about back when we were kids. And it just
Rich kids.
It just wasn't advertised, at least in America. I don't know. Maybe it was a thing in Japan, but in America, this pretty much didn't exist.
I think we just were not. We were on the poor spectrum to not really pay attention to the printer.
That's a very possible thing too, yeah.
But because we have a little bit of time, I wanted to just talk about some general anime topics because I feel like it's been a minute since we've really talked about some anime.
Yeah. Let's just get this off our chest and let's share what we've been watching on the side. You want to start this off?
Okay. First, I'm going to say the summer season was kind of meh. There wasn't a whole lot to watch, to be completely honest.
Yeah, not a whole lot. As far as short flights go, what were you covering?
So I covered Slime season 3. A little behind the curtain. We're probably never going to cover that one.
Yeah, I'm okay with skipping it with how little I've seen of it and your behind the scenes reactions to it.
Yeah, it's one of those where it would be like it was literally a meeting, something happened, meeting, something happened, more meetings, another thing happened, meeting, one more thing happens, one more meeting, season's over. And it's just like, oh, that's so much. I am following along with the light novels. It makes a lot of sense. I will say the season was important because it puts in a perspective of a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes within the series. If you want a world building series like Slime, this kind of needs to happen because it really ties everything in together. It talks about what's going on with the East and how they're kind of intruding in everything. The other big concept that comes in this is just how Tempest finally becomes this nation that humans are willing to come to, and everything that they do for it. And then the big one is, I'm just going to spoil it now. Actually, I won't spoil it. Never mind, because you're going to want to watch it, so I'm not going to spoil it. But basically, there is a huge mic drop moment at the very end of the season that is like, oh shit, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So this was needed within the context of the series. I will say season 4 is going to be fucking intense.
Okay.
Like super intense. It is 100% building towards something, and it's kind of like how Demon Slayer was the calm before the storm. This is the same concept.
All right, completely understandable. Not every single season needs to be amazing because,
Yes.
like what we always talk about, we need those high and lows, those ebbs and flows. You need to appreciate the highs while we are given the lows. So we can't be those spoiled children of today and just be constantly given the best of the best. Otherwise, you're not going to appreciate what is actually good.
Yeah, and just to kind of put it in perspective, there are currently 18 light novels out so far.
How far are you?
I'm through 7.
Oh, God. I thought you were about to say 17. Like, God damn, you're far.
No, I'm through 7, and I'm pretty sure this whole arc goes through 9.
Okay, so you're not caught up light novel like
with the anime, correct?
And with that being said, we're not even halfway through this series, and I'm pretty sure this is still ongoing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check.
Quick Google search.
So just kidding. We are currently on 20. 17 have been translated to, 18 have been translated to English, and it is speculated that volume 23 or potentially 22 is going to be the conclusion.
Okay.
So,
well, still interesting. We're still not even close to halfway through this entire story.
Correct. Now, again, they may potentially skip a bunch of things, but there is some concepts that get brought up now that have been brought up in the past that I'm just like, oh fuck, okay, so that's how they're tying everything together. Now that's starting to make sense. Okay. So it's going to be one of those things where it's like little minute things that just kind of keep getting sprinkled, keep getting brought up. That's going to happen throughout the series.
Okay.
Which I know I've brought up some things, and so it'll be interesting how they bring those concepts back.
Right. With Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero being finished, do you think, like, this is a light novel, not a manga, but do you think this is the next big ongoing series that's going to take over?
No, I think Kaiju 8 is going to kind of be another one. The thing is, because of the anime not being concluded with Jujutsu and with My Hero, those have to finish first before anything else comes in. I will say the next season of My Hero is going to be the last one. Mm. I knew that before any sort of announcement's going to be made, just because I know how the series ends. I know how season 7 is kind of going to end, or at least I have an idea of how season 7 is going to end. So I know just because of those two things, the next season is going to be the last one. I want to say, I was doing the math. It's 120-ish chapters for Jujutsu, so we're probably talking another 2, maybe 3 seasons before that's concluded.
Yeah, that was going to be an interesting one because Jujutsu Kaisen's been, as far as season 1 and season 2 are concerned, those have been 2 core seasons.
Yep.
24 episodes.
Yep.
If they want to continue anything, like it's hard to imagine season 3 being 24 episodes and then season 4 being like a quick 6 to 12.
Oh, they'll both be about 24 episodes.
You know what? That's a fair point because it's shonen. It's going to be a shit ton of fighting. They can fill up a lot of time with just fight scenes.
Yeah, there's an easy out to elongate the season for Jujutsu because of how the calling game arc is. They have a very easy chance of going like more in depth with some backstories, more in depth with certain characters. It's with new characters. It's very easy to make it feel. It's very easy to make like the excess stuff or the new information make sense within the context of what's going on, and still sticking true, quote unquote, to the manga, even if it's not actually in the manga. So it could be one of those things where because Jujutsu was coming out almost literally every single week, where the mangaka just didn't have a chance to put in this sprinkle of information or that sprinkle of information, or this fight didn't go exactly how they wanted it to, because, you know, you can tell where there's some weeks where it just felt kind of rushed and other weeks where it's like, oh, fuck. It was mainly in like the drawing. And so it'll be interesting to see when it gets animated, how they tie everything together within the context of, yeah, this concept was rushed, this concept was also rushed. So how can I get all of that information that I was attempting to put in there, but I didn't necessarily have the timeline to do it because I was trying to meet deadlines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So until those conclude, I don't think we're really going to get a chance to fill in a new, like, oh my God, this is the best thing. There's definitely some chances that slime could come into it because they're...
Or at least fill the void.
Yeah, definitely fill a void. Without spoiling anything, there's a war arc that happens. From what I know, it is intense, like super intense. Nothing we've seen before as far as slime is concerned. Intense.
Okay.
It has the potential to be up there as far as one of the most popular shows. I'm looking forward to it because if you don't want to get spoiled, don't look up the light novel light novel covers, because it definitely spoils some stuff.
Oh yeah.
Then, I mean, we also have Demon Slayer movies that are coming out next year, so we got a little bit of time before something new can kind of try and take over.
Right. Yeah, that's fair to say because we've got a solid almost 2 years before like these big names come to a conclusion, and that's plenty of time for something to pique our interest.
Yeah, absolutely. We still have Chainsaw Man to come back to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we really have any sort of news on that, so I'm wondering how much longer we're going to have to wait for that. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
So then, as far as other things I was covering for short flights, I covered Wisteria 1 and Shield.
Oh, yeah. And for all of our listeners, stay tuned because that's going to be the next full-length episode that we're going to be covering.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That was another one. I also did some shorts covering No Longer Allowed to Live in Another World.
Yep. As of today's date, I am caught up on the English of it. There's a couple episodes left that are still Japanese. I am caught up on the English.
Absolutely hilarious. Very funny show.
Mm-hmm.
And for the concept, it was very funny. It is what it is. Don't take it any further than that.
Yeah.
The concept's very funny. Another one I covered kind of was Elusive Samurai.
Mm-hmm. I watched the first 3 episodes of that one.
Very much old school anime vibes.
Definitely. I got kind of like how Hell's Paradise was trying to go back into like today's animation with old school vibes.
Yep. A little more gory, and actually something that I found out was that it's based off of historical events. So I thought that was really cool. And yeah, that was really all I covered as far as short flights were concerned, were those 4. I am going to be covering ReZero. That's back. That has started off with a bang. It is so intense. Bleach, so excited for that one as well. The Ari Ferretta, I may or may not cover. We'll kind of, that one's going to play by ear. I might do a every 3 episode reaction to it, just like I did with a couple other shows. Shangri-La, that's coming back. I'm really excited for that one, which by the time we recorded, it will have been back.
Oh, yeah.
And then MF Ghost is another one that I'm covering. As you know, I spent almost all of my entire summer watching Initial D, rewatching Initial D. I have a new appreciation for the show. Just because it is the sequel series of Initial D, which is a car series from the 90s. And I'm enjoying that one. I like it. I know / understand some people's qualms when it comes to the series because it just doesn't have the same feel as the original, but I'm still enjoying it.
Right. And for anybody who's confused, this is a car anime racing.
Yep. Initial D is like classic 90s mountain pass racing series for anybody who loves cars. If you haven't watched it, I'm surprised. And you need to. Unfortunately, Crunchyroll removed it from its site as I was like almost done with season 4. I was very upset.
Yeah, even I think it was either today or yesterday, saw that MF Ghost started season 2.
Yep.
And I went to the category area to see if season 1 was there, and it's just non-existent. So they only have season 2.
What? Even season 1 isn't there?
Yeah,
that's insane.
They didn't re-upload it, or they didn't get the contract or whatever it takes for them to have the license. It's literally just season 2.
No, MF Ghost is there.
Season 1?
Yeah. It's just MF Ghost. It's not, it doesn't.
Oh, wait. Sorry. I think I got confused. Sorry, listeners. I don't know anything at all about all this. MF Ghost and
Initial D.
Initial D.
Yes.
I did not see Initial D. Okay. So MF Ghost season 1 is probably there. I didn't see its origin of the other one.
Yeah. So Initial D was removed sometime, I think in like August. And like I said, I was almost done with season 4, and like I think I took a couple days off, and when I came back to go watch the rest of it, it was gone. I was like, where did it go? No. Why can't I find it? Yeah, I was upset. So yeah, that's very upsetting. But what about you? What are you watching? What did you cover for the summer season, and what are you watching now?
Right. So to go back into some history, I covered Oshinoko season 2.
Is that finished then?
It's not. I mean, as of today's date, yeah, season 2 is finished, but the story's not finished.
Yes. Yeah, season 2. Okay.
Yeah. So season 2 was great.
Okay.
It started off a little slow.
Okay.
And it progressively got more and more interesting.
Nice.
I can say that much. I'm definitely interested to see what happens in season 3 because a lot happens at the end of season 2.
Okay.
Oshinoko is going to be in the near future for one of our covers. We're going to cover both season 1 and 2 with our friend Cameron. Hopefully, assuming nothing goes wrong in terms of organizing anything. But we're looking forward to this because Oshinoko is a beautiful series.
Okay. I have not seen any of it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Kind of like what you were talking about with covering shows by the triplets.
Yep.
I watched. I actually never got around to finishing. I watched a lot of Makine. It was like a dating kind of show, much like Alia Russian. Sorry, I should say more specifically. Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian, and Machina, Too Many Losing Heroines.
Okay.
Those two are slice of life's kind of dating kind of shows.
Which is a turn for you. You usually don't watch those. So.
Right. Just in my wheelhouse, I would never watch these kind of shows, but I was watching the anime community, and we had a couple commenters on at least the AnimazeShow who was asking us to please have someone talk about this show so they can feel fulfilled. So I took I took it upon myself to watch it for them and give my reaction.
Okay.
And they were pretty good. I really liked the projection of everything that was going.
So that gives me some hope for a series that I want to cover at some point.
Sure. If we want to get a slice of lives, they're good. They're not etchy. They're kind of fulfilling to a degree.
Oh, they definitely can be etchy, but
they could get there. But they were good. As I think I did stop with episode 6 kind of stuff because I was at the time I was covering only the English.
Okay.
And I was giving my reactions on episodes 1 through 3 and 4 through 6.
Okay.
And as far as I was concerned, they were great. I did enjoy watching all of that.
Okay.
So the story is worth it. And if you're into slice of life, definitely go for it.
So one crazy thing that I had seen was either the dub voice actor for, it's Alana or
Alia.
Alia, yes. Apparently she is Russian, so she can speak both Russian and English, which makes sense because, she's the dub actress for it. So I thought that was kind of a crazy concept where it was like, so she could actually, when she was speaking the Russian, it was actually her saying it in Russian versus some other person coming in just to speak Russian.
Like some Japanese person reading off a script, English words and sounding all choppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually someone who actually knows what they're talking about.
So I think that was just I don't know if that was intentional or just, because I feel like that's a very specific skill, I guess you could say, where you can speak both Russian and English. I guess skill isn't appropriate phrasing, but you understand what I'm saying, where it's not common.
Right. Alia sometimes hides her feelings. I did like that one a little bit more than Makine.
Okay.
You do have to read some subtitles extra with Alia. Sometimes hides her feelings in Russian because obviously
she speaks Russian.
She speaks Russian sometimes. And the whole point behind that was she likes the main character and she speaks in Russian.
Yep.
Her true feelings.
Yep.
Under her breath kind of way.
Yeah.
So in a funny way. But the joke is that the main character actually does understand Russian. So he knows what she's saying, but he's acting like he doesn't know what she's saying. So that adds to the comedy.
Yeah.
So it's worth it. So that's why I appreciate it. So that was fun.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm glad you can get some slice of life in there and expand your horizons. We'll go with that.
Like you were saying, no longer allowed in another world. Up until today's date, I am up to date with the English,
which
very much appreciate that show.
For any behind the curtain, we're in the beginning of October, so just to kind of give a little frame of reference.
Right. Yeah. I had posted a video about Shangri-La versus Shangri-La Frontier. Those are two very separate anime.
Yes. For anybody who hasn't watched it, I thought it was fantastic because I had seen those two. I was like, hey, what the fuck? Definitely watch that video because Lance does a fantastic job breaking down the differences.
Yeah, I made it into a short, so I tried to do enough information in a 1-minute conversation as much as possible. But so please go give us a view on YouTube or TikTok. It's there. I watched a lot of Nier Automata Core 2.
Okay, did it get better?
It definitely got better. It got pretty damn interesting. And I know I was telling you a little bit behind the scenes when we were preparing for this episode that Nier Automata's Core 2 is very zombie-esque. So they could have been like a runner-up for like a potential fake Halloween kind of show.
Okay.
So it's interesting because just the main idea is, for anybody that doesn't know, Nier Automata is about androids.
Yep.
And these androids get a virus, and it's very zombie related.
All right. Interesting. Maybe next year we'll cover that for a Halloween episode.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I would still like to cover Core 2 regardless because it's good enough.
All right, cool. That's definitely nice because we did not have a lot of nice things to say about Core 1.
No, it was whatever.
Yeah.
I followed along all of the English Wistoria with you.
Yep.
My Hero Academia, of course, I watched that on the treadmill. That was fantastic.
Absolutely.
And just to be with the Halloween theme that Crunchyroll was trying to push out, they were advertising this one show called Is This a Zombie? And I watched the first 6 episodes of that. Very ecchi. It's ecchi in the terms of like you don't see any kind of nipples or anything like that, but it's very booby and butt and lots of girls in underwear kind of thing.
Okay.
So we have this one guy. The main character is a zombie, but he's not your typical zombie. He's a human zombie. He's a zombie in the fact that he was brought back from the dead and he can't die. But
Interesting.
But the twist is they also threw in a magical girl aspect to this. Because
okay,
let's just broaden all of our horizons here in this world. But this zombie character, for whatever reason, can take powers away from people. So he's a zombie and he's getting attacked by this magical girl. And then he absorbs the magical girl's powers. So now we have a zombie that can transform into a magical girl outfit. And there's a lot of bad jokes about like tranny and cross-dressing kind of things that go on there.
Okay.
Not going to cross that line, but it's really funny to see a guy dress up as a girl, beat up your monster of the week kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, all at the same time while building his own harem back at home. It's
okay.
The animation is beautiful. The story is interesting. Okay. Some of the concepts are, crossing the line, but so far it's a decent show. That's as far as I can throw that one.
Okay.
So, is this a zombie? It's okay.
Okay. And what about this season? What you watching anything this season?
Yeah, so this season, as far as short flights are concerned, I am covering Dan to Dan.
Is it Dan to Dan or Don to Don?
Japanese tongue, it's Dan to Dan.
Okay.
That's a very crazy show.
Fuck yeah, it is.
It's definitely interesting. This is definitely something that I would have imagined that you see on Adult Swim.
Absolutely, yes.
You've seen. Did you see that as of today? Actually, this week, episode 2 got released.
I have not watched it yet, but I'm probably going to very soon.
Yeah. So episode 1 was just crazy and fun. It's
super crazy.
Half of the first episode is a girl fighting in her bra and panties. So you might want to watch that alone.
Yeah, definitely. If you don't want questions, I would suggest to watch it alone and with your windows down or with your shades down. Yeah. That's probably 2 suggestions.
Yeah, it's fun. It's interesting. And then I will be covering Shangri-La season 2.
So excited!
As of today's recording, episode 1 has not released.
So you should probably specify it is Shangri-La Frontier because you did.
Good
clarify
point.
The difference.
Good point. Yeah, there is a difference between Shangri-La and Shangri-La Frontier. So I'll be covering Shangri-La Frontier Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Look forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally as we're recording today, Dragon Ball Daima released episode 1. Slightly extended first episode, 32 minutes.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
It covered exactly what was described. So that's as far as anyone could throw it. I'm interested. I'm going to continue watching it. I'm not going to cover it, but I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting concept. I'm glad they knocked it out of the way of what it is, mm-hmm. because now there is no questioning what the timeline is, what the timeline is, how exactly everything happened. 100%. Here's your start date. Here's how it happened. Mm-hmm. There's no questions.
Yeah. And for anybody who, for whatever reason, hasn't started it yet, probably because you're probably waiting for the English to come out. But this takes place after the Buu arc. So much like Dragon Ball GT started after the Buu arc, this is kind of like a third branch and way the Dragon Ball series can go. I am going to assume this has nothing to do with canon because it'd be kind of weird that this is, since we're in Super at this point.
Toriyama did actually make it.
Right. But Toriyama also made GT.
Fair. But I don't know. I thought he said this was canon, but I could be wrong.
I'd be surprised. Just because, it could just be a third branch, just like I said. GT's a branch, Super's a branch, and Daima's a branch. As far as video games go, it's Sparking Zero or whatever, the one that's out right now.
Yep.
It's included literally every character that's out there, even as far as I think I'm aware, even the near coming future ones.
Yep.
So that's why it's so popular right now.
Yep.
Don't have a PS5 or anything, so it's not like I'm playing it myself. I'm seeing lots of reels on Facebook of people playing it, and it is so goddamn competitive already on day 1.
Yes. I have to see if it's on the PC. I might have to.
It's on PC, yeah.
Okay, I might have to get that. Actually, no, I'm too busy with school.
Yeah, I was talking to our friend Chris. I'm like, it's for PS5, Xbox X and S, and the PC. And
sounds like Lantz needs to get a PC.
I mean, if I was smart to be longevity wise, yeah, that's the smart route to go. I'm sure all gamers would agree on that part, but it's just whatever you're ready to do in the moment.
Yeah, no, I get it. What else? Anything else you're watching or planning on watching?
There is another zombie-esque kind of show. I remember we talked about in our last episode. I'm not going to look it up now, but there is another zombie show that I plan on watching to see how that one goes.
Okay, nice. Definitely looking forward to it. I know we have...
Oh, and of course, ReZero. But...
Yeah, absolutely. Can't miss out on that one. I know we have our convention coming up soon. By the time this launches, it'll be just a couple more weeks. I am absolutely looking forward to that because it's been a minute. The last convention was Anime 414. That was a lot of fun. And I know we're going to meet up with our buddy Cameron. So I can't wait for ColossalCon. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah, that'll be a fun reunion.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Lance, for telling everybody what you're going to be watching / what you did watch. I am absolutely looking forward to this season as far as the fall season is concerned. Thank you, everybody, for listening this long. Please make sure to check out the Anime Show on Facebook and Instagram. See all the awesome anime content they have on there. And please make sure to check out our YouTube channel as well as any of the streaming platforms that you can check out podcasts. Also, please subscribe to us, drop a like, and leave a comment. Let us know, what did you think of Corpse Princess? And if that's something you would actually pick up, thanks to our conversation. Have a good one.
Later, guys.